Good day, everybody, and welcome to Herman's House Honest Reviews. In today's first video of the series, we're going to have a good look at this newly released game called Salt 2 Shores of Gold. Now, mind you, this is a very early access game and just got released this week, so hopefully anything I say in this video will be fixed by the time you are watching this, so take everything with a grain of salt. According to the developers, this game will be in early access for about a year, and they have many plans to improve upon during that time. Right now it's available for around 16 to 17 euros on Steam, and this is what's to be expected. A open world exploration game focused on survival and crafting. Now, how well did they do this? Let's find out. Now, before anything else, let me start off by saying if you are expecting the next Sea of Thieves game, you're gonna be very disappointed.
You're gonna have a bad time.
If you do feel like comparing this game to another, then you're best be off comparing it to a game such as Raft, which, like Salt, has an infinite procedural world that generates as you travel along. For the gameplay portion of this review, I'm going to be looking at the main ingredients that this game has to offer, namely exploration, combat, and survival, and the overall difficulty of those things. To get started on your whole exploration adventure that is this game, you are handed some pretty nifty tools at the beginning of the game, namely a sextant, a map, and a compass. Now, getting these to work together is relatively easy. You can simply call upon the map, you can use the sextant with a simple click of the mouse, and the compass does what a compass does and points you in the direction that you're facing. Now, at the beginning of this game, you are sent to a cave to collect some supplies and build your very first raft. From there on, you will have to navigate towards the first island, and you will be handed the supplies to build your very first ship after a simple quest. So yeah, you don't actually have to wait very long to get your very first ship and start exploring all these islands. Now, on each and every one of these islands, there are typically some points of interest that you can explore or discover or check out. Could be a cave, could be a small dungeon, could be a little tree house or a cabin, or even maybe a small village with both friendly and unfriendly NPCs. It is typically on the latter that you will experience your very first combat. Now, this game has a couple of ways to combat your opponents. Opponents which typically are pirates that will roam around like brigands and bandits, or even some undead pirates in the form of skeletons. To defend yourself against these atrocities, you can either rely on a melee weapon such as a cutlass or an axe, or you can take up your bow and arrow and participate in some friendly archery. If you're more the sneaky type, you can also crouch and try to land a sneak attack while creeping up on your enemies. The combat difficulty isn't as high as one might wish at this moment, but again, it's an early access game, so this will probably be tweaked along the way. At this moment in time, there are no perks to be selected from your skill tree. However, you do develop certain skills such as slashing when using cutlass or piercing when using your archery that you can develop over time as they level up. Another fun element are talents that you can sometimes find on certain weapons and armor that you either find in treasure chests or that you created yourself. This gear will present you with two options from which you have to select one that you want to use. For instance, a bonus to your strength or maybe a little bonus to dexterity. Depending on your playstyle, you can then select the talent that suits you best and help you out throughout the game. This brings us to the survival aspect of the game, namely gathering and crafting. Now, normally I'm a big fan of the survival aspect in any of these type of games. However, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the system that they have implemented in Salt 2. It seems very simple to collect certain resources and yet so difficult. Same goes for the recipes that you need to collect. Some of these require many different items that are really high tier and require a lot of grinding. However, the game isn't very clear in pointing out where to grind for such items. At the same time, the recipes can be very unbalanced. A raft or a ship only costs a few pieces of wood and some iron, whereas a baked fish requires 7 different ingredients, some of which I still haven't found 10 hours into the game. This makes it very difficult to create an immersive experience. If I'm to survive on these islands, then I don't mind having a bit of a hard time finding certain ingredients. However, if it takes only 2 seconds to build a ship, but it takes me 5 hours to bake a fish, then there's definitely something wrong. Now, this could be accredited to the fact that it's still an early access game, and hopefully they will balance out, but it currently feels like the game just doesn't know where to go. Is it going to be a hardcore survival game, or is it just going to be a casual collect some wood and build a ship and just sail type of game? This leaves me with addressing the difficulty of the game. Is it challenging? Meh, it's okay. The caves and dungeons are pretty cool, but with the basic combat system, nothing that you would not be able to handle. The sailing, however, sort of pains me to point out, but is currently ridiculously simple. It's not fleshed out at all. It's a matter of dropping a boat out of your pocket into any body of water, and from there on it's just going on, dropping the sails and steer. That's it. There's no wind at all to take into consideration or otherwise, because it just doesn't exist yet. There is no ship damage to consider. There's no maneuvering or any of that stuff. There's no anchor that you need to drop or raise. You can simply go on and sail off into the sunset without any regards of wind direction or speed or any of that good stuff. And that is something for a game that prizes itself for its naval exploration, something that they really need to address going forward. I know it's early access, but this is something that has to be fleshed out if you want to keep this game interesting and challenging at all. Now, I don't want to completely bash the game on one aspect alone, even though it's a very vital and important aspect of the game. What I failed to mention before, and what you may have seen in the video though, is that this game does look amazing. The graphics are really nice. The weather is currently either clear skies during the day or dark skies during the night, but I know they are looking into implementing some weather elements to this entire thing as well. And the music is very relaxing, very fitting. They have a very satisfying score to work with, and that is quite impressive for such a small studio, so kudos there. So overall, if you have an odd 20 euros left to spend on a early access game, then I think you could easily put it towards this game, and hopefully the developers will continue on as they planned for the next year, and we'll end up with a really nice game in the long run. Now, if you're looking for a more finished game, I recommend going for something else and just sit this one out until further updates are released. So with that said, I'm gonna leave you all with a fond goodbye. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this content, and follow along and leave me a comment if there are any other games you would like me to review. So for now, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to the developers of Salt for all your efforts so far. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.